Good morning, everyone, and welcome to American Scouser's Morning Coffee or Tea with American Scouser, brought to you by our friends at Reckless Coffee Roasters. It's Wednesday, so the greatest dad is, in fact, number one dad is in the house. Number two is in the house as well. Gordo, what's happening?
Hey, guys, listen, this is going to sound like a plug, and I guess it sort of is. But over the holidays, I ran out of Reckless coffee because everyone was drinking it. They decided I bought like this 64 pack of like just garbage donut shop, the generic one.
Yeah.
And everyone chose the Reckless over that. And so I've been without Reckless for like 2 weeks, and I got the box last night, and I opened it up and I like almost had an orgasm. It was amazing. So like this is my first cup of Reckless in like 2 weeks, and I don't know if I'll go back. I like I said, it sounds like a plug, and I guess it sort of is, but I love this stuff.
Yeah, honestly, I hate to sound like a coffee snob, but once you do good coffee, it's very hard to go back to just regular old-fashioned coffee. Like you go to like a breakfast joint somewhere, they give you the regular diner coffee. You're like, what is this? What? Talking about coffee snobs, John is with us. John, what's happening?
Yeah, talking about Reckless. Once you go Reckless, you can never go back. Right? It's our first Reckless Wednesday show of the year, and I'm happy to be here, guys.
Yes, and what a great year it has been. If it goes anything like this Monday's breakfast show, morning show, it's going to be hoot today too. We have a game coming up, obviously, and Johan Astonsen is the first one in on the comments, and Steve is with us as well. Sergi, Alan, everybody, gather around, grab your Reckless cup of coffee. A lot to talk about. Obviously, we're going to do the pre-match, so don't want to take the whole thing from that. But in light of like the Trent's injury and stuff like that, Gordo, what is the optimism level right now without hearing anything about the lineup and all that kind of stuff?
So before, I don't know if you've ever seen Monsters Inc. You probably have because you've got kids. Yeah. And John, it probably came out when you were a kid.
Oh, too. Yeah, I love that.
So
John watched it as a 2-year-old. He's like,
yeah, I did. I was like 5 or 6. Yeah.
So there was a tweet, and I sent it to the group chat of like all the monsters coming out onto the scare floor, and it's like these are all the guys that were injured for Liverpool coming back in 2024 to help us win the trophy. And then literally like an hour later, I got the tweet that Trent was injured, and I'm like, oh god, it's troubling, right? Because if he's going down, he's been kind of the workhorse this year. He's really turned it up a gear, and I know you hate him in that new role, but he is killing it, and he's providing a lot of, not so much. I mean, it's sort of like Salah. When Salah isn't having a good game, he still provides because he draws attention, which is sort of what Trent is really good at. Everyone's kind of like, oh God, where is he? He's running between lines. It's very difficult for teams that kind of play in a like zonal situation where the defenders are kind of, as soon as someone comes in the zone, then they have to mark them. Well, when Trent's running through those zones and not, playing by the rules, for lack of a better term, it really confuses defenses, and it opens up space and provides situations for a lot of other players. And I don't think we have anybody on our team currently that can do that role. So we're going to have to go back to a more traditional, right back until he gets back. So it is troubling.
So it just says it's Trent's best player in the world right now after Bellingham. I don't know. That's kind of a stretch, isn't it?
And you, Tim, would say it's like a stretch.
Yeah, that's kind of a stretch. Sorry. I mean, I love Trent, but you got to admit the thing that I find myself constantly doing is pointing out the weaknesses that somehow everybody like keeps ignoring because they're still there, so it's just like, and that's why I don't think I will put him influential. Maybe, I mean, you could use that word maybe for him, because I do agree with Gordo that, he does a lot where it helps others. But this, like I say, we also talked about how this inverted role hurts others. The problem, I guess, John, is kind of like what Gordo is saying. Don't really have anybody. I mean, I don't know, like your Robertson goes out, you put Costas over there. Costas goes out, you're like, well, we don't have another left back, but we'll put right back over there. So you can kind of like plug and play certain things, but it feels like there is really nobody there. Preach, Sparky, preach. But there's nobody that can really.
That's why you should put him in the midfield as an 8.
No midfield. How can you just say yes to that and then say, yes, that sounds great. Let's put him in midfield where he can defend lazily.
let's stay on track to
speed.
spend the next 50 minutes talking about.
But there's nobody who can replace exactly what he does.
Yeah.
So what do we do? I mean, it's 3 weeks. It's still the end of the month. But obviously you have these cup games.
Yeah.
And then I think Bournemouth game he's probably going to miss. It's looking like, right? So, but what do you do? And that's another thing. Like we're saying 3 weeks. It could be less than 3 weeks. It could be more than 3 weeks.
Yeah, we're gonna have to look to someone else to be that creative spark. Like we don't have Trent, who's like our dictator of creativity from the back to front, and then we have Salah, who's our dictator of creativity from the front, all out. So right now, it's interesting to see how Klopp is gonna do it, because even during the situations where the double pivot didn't seem favorable, he still stuck with it. Even in the games where we didn't have Trent, he still had the right back playing as a double pivot with a holding midfielder.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see if he's still going to stick with it. We're going to assume Connor Bradley is going to be replacing him, right? Who, by the way, had a solid cameo against Arsenal. Defensively, like obviously we're taking a lot from like a 10, 15-minute cameo, right? But obviously we have no choice now but to, kind of rely on him. But from the creativity standpoint, that's where I'm the most worried from, because obviously with Szoboszlai injured, we have McAllister playing a deeper role, which kind of limits his ability to go forward. Who's that going to come from now? That's the big question. So I think if I'm going to pick out someone, probably Elliott or Jones. The pressure is going to be on them to try and create something from midfield in the absence of Trent, and maybe someone on the front line, maybe a Gakpo or a Diaz, because right now we're kind of starved for options. So it's going to be interesting to see, especially later, right? Because we're going to definitely see how that's going to go on later, whoever's going to be replacing Trent on the lineup.
So whose stock goes up? I mean, like the whole stock up, stock down thing, Gordo. Whose stock goes up a lot in terms of, I guess, importance with Trent? Like, which player do you say, okay, now we need this guy more than ever? Not obviously out of the injured ones, but somebody who's available, who's going to have more responsibility, you think? He went with Jones and Elliott's.
Yeah.
I'd say Joe Gomez. I mean, honestly, let's say he's such a versatile role in the defense. And I know he hasn't always been reliable and he's been injury prone himself. But he's shown this season that he can do it, and he's having a great season. And so I think now he doesn't have the excuse, because, even if Robertson comes back or Kostas Tsimikas comes back, like there's still the other side of the field and rotation. So he's going to get minutes. And so if his thing has always been, well, I've never got a consistent form, this is his chance to say, hey, I'm going to have some run of games here, and I'm going to have some serious minutes and kind of put a stamp on the team, because that's one of the things that Klopp does well, is if somebody is performing, he's going to get picked time after time, even after that player comes back from injury. So I think he's the one that we got to look at.
We should make that into a shirt, by the way, Tim. Run of games.
Run of games. That's another good shirt, actually. Yeah. Run of games. Or I've had a run of games or something like that. You heard it here first. Gomez to score tonight, says Sparky. And that's the interesting, right? Because Cersei says, and I do agree with this, I know automatically you kind of think right back, and because he did come back in the last game as well, John. But I feel like it's a better option right now because you're trying to fill Trent's spot at the same time. And we've seen Gomez do that.
Yeah,
and do the inverted shiver roll and do it pretty well, actually, because he does have that speed. Is that a better option, you think, to bring Gordon and play the kid on a left, like play the left back position with a kid as opposed to the right back position with a kid? Based on it's just not defensive, they have to do that creative role as well.
Yeah, he came on as well. Who was the other kid with Bradley last game against Arsenal, and he didn't look out of place as well. So it's going to be interesting who Klopp decides to put in there. And like I said, obviously the defensive job, I think that's the bare minimum that they need to do. But obviously as a right back now in like a modern team, in like a modern elite team, you need to do more than just defend. So I can see the shout for Gomez in terms of like putting him in the right back, but I think shifting him back and forth kind of disrupts his rhythm. So he's had a run of games already as left back. So I think kind of keep him there first, and then let's see how good Bradley is, because he is a natural right back. Let's not miss. He is a natural right back. I mean, obviously we don't know how he's going to do as an inverted right back, but then I'm not saying that later is the most ideal situation for him to be tested out as an inverted right back, because it is a cup semifinal after all. But at this point, we kind of have no choice unless we play someone out of position. Because I saw a shout on Twitter, Curtis Jones inverted right back. I don't really know how that's going to work out, because obviously him defending the flank's going to be, maybe in possession it might work, but actually him defending the area might be a bit weird.
That's reckless.
Yeah, that is reckless. So I'll definitely. Well, Sparky makes a good point here, though. Playing a kid on the left because Van Dijk could help. Yeah, that works. That works as well. But then I'm really in favor of giving Bradley a chance, because I thought during preseason he was quite decent, and obviously the injury kind of disrupted his rhythm a little bit in terms of him getting back into the team. Him coming back against Arsenal, again, it's just 15 minutes, but that's against Gabriel Martinelli, who's one of the best wingers in the league. So that still counts for something. I think he deserves like a bit of a chance now, regardless of
this is a good debates club thing, because I can make a case for both over here and let the kids go at it. Because so it just says playing Van Dijk will help a youngster playing on the left. That gives Konate and Gomez to take care of the right.
Yeah,
I think I favor that more, just because we've seen Gomez, when he played right back, do the same inverted role and do pretty good with it. We really did not see a whole lot of that with Bradley and stuff like that, obviously, because of how the game was going. I mean, he came in and he did really well, because let's face it, Martinelli was just like walking by Trent. And I know that's because Martinelli was fresh, because I feel like, as much as Trent is, I agree that he's a lazy defender, but I feel like 1v1, he's not as bad as everybody says at the same time. But yeah, I mean, Martinelli was literally like walking by him to his right, to his left and stuff, until Bradley came in and kind of like shut that wing down. Which way are you leaning, Gordo? The right back or left back for your choice of kid?
Definitely right. He's got more experience in right. I mean, up until recently, we didn't really have another option at right back, and it was always Gomez when Trent wasn't playing. So I think he's more familiar in that role. I mean, his distribution isn't what Trent's is. Nobody's in the Premier League is, but just the simple fact of, if that's the way that we're going to play, where it's almost like a sneak attack through some lines, kind of mix up defenders and open up space. And, I'm assuming because he's a professional player in a Premier League team that's won trophies, that he can make a pass from 6-7 yards out. So I think it'll work. This isn't a solution. It's a Band-Aid, right? Like we're not looking for him to become Trent. We're looking for him just to let's get through this run of games without a couple of key players. So I think we'll be okay. And to be honest, the three center backs, I think this is the most confident I've been in a group of center backs that we've had in a long time. It's not just Virgil van Dijk and then whoever. It's, Konate's having a great run of games. Kwanzaa's shown that he can play. Matip, up until the injury, was doing well. So I think that they can cover those gaps when we have them. So I'm not too worried about the defense, as long as it's not an extended injury. If we're looking at 2 months, then it's scary, because I hate to say it. I hate to bring it up so early, but I know Matouche had it on his little tag, the quad. I mean, we're literally looking at a quad again this year. And everybody knows that Man City's second half performance is always scary.
Yeah. And
they've got KDB coming back. So we really cannot afford to tie games. And if we really want to go for it, we got to win. We have to win games. And we can't just get through this period of time. So it is a little nerve-wracking.
It is nerve-wracking, and I don't know. I mean, the good thing you said all this and not John, the Mr. Jinx over there. If he says anything, so don't say anything about center backs. Don't even talk about. I'm not even going to ask you about freaking center backs, so you don't say anything. Because I guess that's the concern over there, right? I mean, with Kwanzaa, obviously he's young, so he's going to have a great couple of games, and then he might have a dud here and there. And with Konate, I guess the main concern I have is, speaking of run of games, we've never really seen him play an extended amount of time like we've seen with Van Dijk. We've seen with Gomez even, right? I mean, the injuries and stuff creep up, and that's what worries me. Like, do you play a guy who just played Sunday again, and he played ridiculously well, probably the best I've seen him play? So that's the concern I have over there when it comes to center back. So we're going to come to the January thing. Hey, look, Anand is back. So Thiago is coming back so soon, probably by next week. Sure, why not? But yeah, I mean, that can't hurt.
Didn't Pep say February or something?
Like and on his own calendar, every month is like Thiago.
Just think a little more, huh?
Yeah, I love how Thiago was December and then January, and now it's February. Then February is going to be March, and then April, and then we hope to see him next season.
And then by that,
Non's like a Thiago drug dealer. Come on, guys, just a little more. Just wait a little bit more. Come on, we're so close.
Come on, man, he's so good. We were actually going to talk about Thiago's hips. What's up with I think because we were talking about last week or the Monday morning show about like what is up with his hips kind of a thing, and then there was that article that John sent about his no-look passes supposedly is the cause of his hip injuries, and that has to be the biggest bullshit click story I've ever heard. That is like, oh yeah, my no-look passes.
Bobby should be in a wheelchair if that was true.
Yeah. Did you guys see Diaz's goal though? It apparently was a no look with that power.
The own goal?
The second goal. The second goal that Diaz scored.
He didn't
that was a no look. The own goal was a no look. Wait, I mean that's not considered no look. That's like close your eyes and shoot. Those are not.
He kind of turned his head when he was about to strike the ball, and he hit it with such power that wow, like.
The only no look that I consider no look are Bobby's goals.
Where he makes a face as he turns his head.
Yes, exactly.
Where's the camera?
Okay, speaking of that, and as well as article sent, let's share this comedy over here. So there's trouble in the Saudi League. Imagine that. Let's talk about that. So obviously the Jordan Henderson thing. I don't know how reliable Ben Jacobs is when it comes to Saudi League hot news. I can tell you one bullshit right off the bat because he talks about Fenerbahce's Ryan Kent, and I'm under the impression that Ryan Kent is actually going to be loaned out to Hull City. So he says January targets over there, which would work, I think, for Fenerbahce because we'd rather sell him than loan him. But that's a different story. But Jordan Henderson is in talks. And I don't know if you guys caught this, by the way. So, like, let me start some controversy and rumors to the max. Because they asked Klopp, John, about Jordan Henderson in the press conference. And he said, Sparky says Kent did sign to Hull. Yes, see? Because he did not even come in the last couple of games when he would normally come in the rotation in the Fenerbahce. So we were assuming this guy is a goner. He really could never break into Fenerbahce's lineup, which is kind of scary. Obviously, he was going against like Tadic and stuff like that, and he's not even going to get over Tadic. But anywho, they asked him, and he said, I did talk to him, but not about this the other day. So Henderson, why do you think Henderson would call Klopp?
Why would he call Klopp?
Asking for a good restaurant in Riyadh.
Maybe greeting him a Happy New Year's.
Oh, that could be right. Like a Christmas call.
Yeah, or maybe going like, "Hey, Jurgen, Happy New Year's. I see you got a few injured midfielders there. Don't suppose
that's it. Daddy, I made a mistake. I need to come home."
Right, exactly. That's probably.
Or maybe he's asking about Thiago's status.
Right, he still cares. He was our captain after all. He cares for our boys. So maybe when he left, Thiago was injured. He's been gone a few months. Thiago is still injured.
It's like nothing has changed.
Yeah, nothing has changed. It's still in the treatment room.
Like he says, Henderson is probably desperate. And that's the thing. I mean, okay, in all fairness, Gordo, any team in the Premier League, well, let's not say any team, but half the league in the Premier League, half the teams in the Premier League can probably use a hando.
Yeah, we said it before. I mean, that was the whole reason that when this first happened and we had that the great maybe 2 podcasts in a row where we sort of brought it up at the beginning, we knew it was about money because so many teams in the Premier League could use him, would have snatched him up for whatever he wanted to take. And if it wasn't about money and it was about a new challenge, he could have went there. He could have went to any other of the big 5 leagues and been a starter, and he didn't. He went to Saudi, and that's how you know it was for money. So, I mean, if he wants to move, I think he has a plethora of options. The problem is, though, this game moves so quickly. It's just like, anything nowadays. If you're not in the spotlight constantly, or you're not in the news or making the plays, people forget about you. And if he comes knocking on a door and they're like, wait, who are you again? Oh, that's right. Yeah, you used to be captain of Liverpool. Like, it's so for him, he might not get what he wants. And I see, Cersei said no one can afford Henderson's wages right now. But if the guy wants out, then I don't think he's going to care, what his wages are. Because
I would think so, right? He's basically would say, rip up the contracts.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go back home. Kind of thing. He's like, I'm homesick, ma. Like, so do you see anything like that even happening? I was asking, I think, Matish on Monday. I guess my main question was, and we had like a bunch of people chime in with Fabinho, probably more out of need, but out of all the people who went to Saudi Arabia and are not happy and are homesick, who would you take back, or who would you want to take back? I think sentimentally anybody can come right back. Our door is always open, but in terms of like putting him in the lineup, fitting in and all that good stuff, give me one name that you would lobby for bringing back.
Fabinho for me. I mean,
Fabinho, really?
You just mentioned it. Yeah, Fabinho. We don't have a true DM, obviously, with Endo out. And even when Endo's back, he can't play every game. Like, let's be real. And I would love to see McAllister get a run of games. Mane's a good shout, yeah. But then we're pretty loaded on that line when Salah comes back. So, yeah, Fabinho for me. When even when Endo, jeez. When
Endo, yeah.
Even when Endo's healthy, like I said, he can't play every game. We'd like to see McAllister be moved forward a little bit, play his natural position as an 8. So Fabinho, definitely.
So more out of, you see, the only thing that scares me about Fabinho is his legs were gone before he left. I can guarantee you, so the Saudi League does not really bring you up to pace. He's probably only got rustier, is what I would worry about.
But then he had to play every game with us, Tim. He had to play every game. Now he doesn't really have
I guess, yeah. So you put him out there and you're like, give me 60. And then, I guess the familiarity, I mean, with all these players, I guess familiarity. Sparky says, who was at the game? Bobby? And I think Fab was too, but Bobby was signing books and all that kind of stuff. I know.
Fabinho was like, really, hey, I'm here too.
Yeah,
I'm here too.
I can sign his book. It's like, no, yes. Thanks, but no, we're good.
Mane is a good shot, but honestly, I have not watched or anything like that to see. I just know of the Mane that left. I do not know the current Mane and what we have there. It really doesn't help the cause because I'm assuming he's in the African Cup as well. So yeah, by the time we get Mane, we get Mo as well. How about you, Gordo? Who you taking back?
I was going to say Mane too, but with John's a very educated human being, and after you,
which John are you talking about?
you made a good case. I was like, oh yeah, I totally agree. I think Fabinho would be a good spot. He doesn't have to play every game. He can give us 60, 75 minutes in a holding position and keep the game locked down, and kind of go through like a results thing. Because like we would implement James Milner in that way. That's how you could think of him coming in, is we've either got the lead or we're in a position where we just want to get through a number of minutes. We're not looking for you to go out there and win the game. We just need to hold whatever we have. And I think he'd be good for that role.
I still take Bobby just because I think, it would be one of Bobby or Fabinho, because I kind of like take into effect of fitting in as well to the squad easily. The Brazilian gang, like bringing Sexy back, like putting the Brazilian back in there, and it would like blend right back in, and in terms of like cohesion and stuff. And I think with Bobby, he already had that role in terms of coming off the bench and being that player that not a regular starter and stuff like that. Fabinho really did not ever have that role in full, so I don't know how he would handle that and stuff like that. But yeah, I honestly do not think that's gonna. Football Flashback is back, but yeah, hey, if you want to place a bet, Football Flashback, you can place a bet on.
I have a question for him. I have a question, right? So I'm looking to put money on the quad, right? But I can't find a betting company in the U.S. that'll take that bet right now. Either
I was in Vegas, bro. You should have told me. Like I would have found. Well,
I don't know if you can in Vegas too, because I literally downloaded all of them: MGM, ESPN, DraftKings. So like some of them will allow you to bet futures for the FA Cup, But when on those sites, you can't parlay all 4 competitions. The only one that I've seen that has a potential right now is PointsBet, which you can bet futures of everything but the FA Cup. And I'm hoping that after those replays get played, the future will open up. I just don't know why they won't let you do a parlay. So if football flashback, if you have the answer, I need it, because I'm assuming that if we win today, those odds are going to come down, because right now they're like 250 to 1. It's like, why not put $10 on that?
Yeah, man. If that's the odds, hook us up, brother. Yeah, where are we putting this money? I didn't even look, to be honest.
Gordo's bet here. I could see Gordo's bet here, if it works out, being the start of an official betting show for American Scouts.
Actually, we did think about that too. Like initially, when we started American Scouts, we still might do like a betting show, but then who's gonna give the recommendations? Maybe we'll have football flashback as like the expert.
Oh, it can't be me. Sir Z will be all over my ass. He's gonna be like, don't listen to this guy.
Yeah, I mean, that's not a bad bet, except we kind of predicted he might not even be the one starting. So there's also that. Hopefully the bet cancels itself out if he doesn't play. We should get a betting sponsor. And then we will have to put it on the jerseys and stuff like that. Bet 365 says football flashback.
But you can't bet that in the US. That's the problem. I tried to download.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
VPN?
Do they have a browser VPN?
Maybe I can VPN.
Tune in for more illegal activities next week, where we are really reckless with where we bet and what we do. Yes, exactly.
The problem is, if you do the VPN, how do I get my money? Do I have to waste my winnings by going to England to collect my money?
You can send emails like the Nigerian princes and be like, I need you to collect my winnings and then send it to me, help a guy out, kind of emails. You can just bomb people. Yeah, see, like now he's calling the bookie as we speak. We all need the bookie. Speaking of, by the way, you called John educated, which we can all debate. But that's a debate for another day. But to prove that he's educated, he also does write for our website, by the way.
I can read, I can write. I'm serviceable.
Yes, he can write, reads. He can do it all, people.
I can jinx.
He washes windows and can make an omelet. So many qualities that
John
I can
make an omelet. Sorry.
But if you head over to our website, the Welcome Redemption arc is his latest on the website, and it is about Gomez. And the good question posed over there, and I will ask you this, Gordo, is what is Gomez's best position? Because I thought it was like a good question to pose.
That is a good question, because he's played everywhere, right? He's played everywhere.
The kid's educated, man. I'm telling you.
I'm pretty sure we've used him as a 6 in like the last 15, 20 minutes. I would honestly, I'd probably say right back. That's where I think that when I think about his best games, or where I've been like, oh, that was a great game by Gomez, it's always at right back.
Really? I mean, you don't put any stock in where they were the best center back pairing? Is that all go to Van Dijk that season before he got hurt?
Honestly, yeah, I think you could have put anybody. I think Jamie Carragher could have stepped off the pundit desk and played center back, and it would have been the best center back pairing.
With this high line, Gordo, are you sure?
Yeah, Carragher with this high line would be a comedy.
He's got an oxygen tank on his back, but he'll be all right.
Sparky says floating defender. I think you had as a right back as well, right?
Fullback positions, Tim. Either fullback position. I feel like his days as a center back are gone. I feel like I said, I'm pushing this whole Trent to midfield agenda. Gomez as our permanent right back is the way to go, people. Permanent right back. I feel like he's good enough to play in that position. And like I said in my piece, we have 2 talented center backs alongside Virgil van Dijk that's coming up. So for him to establish himself as a solid starter, he'd have to go over those guys who are all having good seasons. Verge, Kwanzaa, and Konate. So for him to be as a permanent starter, definitely either fullback position for me.
Man, this is another good debate. Okay, 1 game to win. Van Dijk is available, and only Kwanzaa and Gomez are available at center back. Who are you starting?
Well, who's available for right and left back? That's the
who's
question.
available?
Trent is there. Okay, you know what? This is like this is like freaking Bickler on Monday Night Trivia. A bunch of like qualifying questions. It's like,
what's the weather?
Raining.
Yeah. Is it home or away?
Is Klopp wearing a thick coat?
So who, like Kwanzaa or Gomez next to Van Dijk in a must-win game, a final?
This season,
go to you first.
Oh man, this season, I'd probably go Gomez. There's just like a little bit more like that old teddy bear when you were a kid. There's just something there. Like I know that I've relied on him in the past, and he's got me through the thunderstorms. You know.
Did you have a teddy bear?
I had a stuffed animal. It was a dog. It wasn't a teddy bear, but it was a dog.
John, what is your current? What is your current stuffed animal?
Well, I had a stuffed Batman, if that counts.
Really?
Yeah.
Honestly, the stuffed Batman would probably be better at defending John than the stuffed dog would.
Well, definitely not a stuffed Trent.
Yeah. Like. So for me, I have to stick with my guns here. I'm going Kwanzaa.
You lost.
Really? I think I go Gomez just because of the whole teddy bear thing that Gordon was talking about. I think I do go with that just because I personally think he was a good center back. I know
he was.
That error was in him at times, but I think we give. Oh God! See, this is where the show, like 30 minutes into the show, it just goes south.
It's because we've all sort of finished our reckless club. That's the problem.
It becomes more and more reckless. John, are you still stuffing your Batman? Says Sparky.
Don't answer.
Gomez experiencing coming on and protecting the game.
No, there we go. I got Sir Z with me.
Well, there you go.
Sir Z's with me, then all hope is all hope is back. You know.
I'll have you guys. How about this, by the way? See, it's January. I kind of like held back as long as I could, aside from the Saudi talk. But Frimpong in the summer. Would you guys sign a right back? I'm 30 million release clause for him is nothing. I'll be honest. I have not watched enough of him.
Yeah,
he's great in FIFA. I'll tell you that. I have his ultimate team card.
So is Nunez.
So is the other. Yeah, if we're going out of ultimate team, we're in deep shit. See, Steve is going with on Instagram. Steve is going with Gomez as well. And we have someone from Germany joining us Instagram. What's going on? The Cup Germany, actually, they are a huge group and they go all over the place. That's one thing I think that's nice in the European groups, like in different countries. I mean, I guess we have different states, but it's not like we go from state to state, you know, like we don't take the Chicago group and go to Indiana or anything like that, but they're able to like get together. I've seen like a lot of photos where they get together and have events with like the people in the group in Denmark and the group here and stuff like that. So it's pretty like cool stuff to see. So
we got to fix our rail systems. That's the problem.
take the train over to Seattle to hang out with that group. Yeah.
Why not?
Why not? We'll be there for the final, guys. Frimpong, and yeah, he is Dutch. Are you guys buying what Serzi and Football Flashback are selling? Well, I think Football Flashback is probably asking so he can put some money on it. But that's
probably.
We've got the Liverpool connection, right? He plays for Leverkusen. He is Dutch, so we've got that. He also wasn't he in City's youth? Like he was part of the City youth team, wasn't he?
Was he
recently? I'm pretty sure he came through the City rank. I have to look that
I'll
up.
ask Uncle Google while you.
If that's true, I mean he would have been in that setup during their most lucrative spending. Illegal or not, it's great for young kids to grow up in that situation. And so I don't know. I'd go for it. And hell, I'm always for bringing in a player whose name has that pop. You know, like Man City, they had that Oscar Bob kid start the other day, and just every time he touched the ball, when the announcer said Oscar Bob, I was like, I'm loving this game. Just for it's like a little treat, like a tiny you're training your dog to go potty, you give him the tiny little treats. That's what it was, Oscar Bob. I was like, oh, that's nice. I like this. I'm gonna watch this game. Can you imagine coming off the right Frimpong? It's like, yeah, that's cool. I like that.
He has a zing to it. I think he has a zing to him as well, speed wise, and he's only 23. He was in City from 2010 to 19, basically from 10 years old to 19. Then he goes to Celtic for a couple of years, and he's been in Bayer Leverkusen since. Roman says Gomez in center back. Who do you put in left back right now? No, the qualifier was everybody's healthy. We're just like a 1-game final. Do we go Kwanzaa or Gomez?
Which never happens. So that's a weird qualifier, right?
Because I guess that's true. Yeah,
everyone's just attacking Tim this morning.
Wait a minute, everyone's healthy. What the hell? Let's not talk about the Gomez situation. Let's talk about how we make that possible. Where like the whole team is
right.
Well, I don't think that's ever possible, and that's why when you sent that thing in the Discord channel. And by the way, if you are not on our Discord channel, like the fan channel where we kind of like do all kinds of fist fights over different Liverpool topics and movies and all kinds of stuff, please do join us. I am throwing the link right now, your invitation to join over there. But the
cycle for our sorry to cut you there, but the cycle of our Discord during game days is positivity, extreme negativity, and then we somehow win. Everyone's like okay again. Like in the extreme negativity part, there are legit people fighting there, and then when we go back up to when we win, everyone's friends again.
Yeah,
so that's how it is.
I totally forgot about Matip. By the way, I would take Matip, but he's not even the qualifier. It's only Kwanzaa, because otherwise, Konate would be in the equation too. Nobody else was in the equation. Roman is like Bickler on Monday night, man. I gotta like really give all the qualifiers over here. But yeah, I think. That's my concern, when you put that thing about, all the monsters coming out, I was like almost seeing in the background a couple of monsters leaving too, like because they're getting injured. That's my biggest concern, because we do this all the time, right? We're like, he's going to come back. Unfortunately, Matip is not coming back. So I want to get to that actually in terms of what we need this January and will we do anything. But because I would love to have Matip. I'm going back to what Roman was asking. Yeah, I would definitely prefer Matip just by experience and everything like that. But, that's the biggest concern I have. Like we always say, oh, he's going to come back. And then as those guys come back, they're like, oh, shit, now he's injured.
Yeah.
Oh, God, Thiago is hurt or something like that, So that's what my main concern is, like losing other people. Otherwise, there's a long list of people that will be back in 3 weeks. And here's another thing. We've seen this. He'll be back in January. Thing before. We had it for Jota before. We had it for Diaz last year, and then we did not see them for like another 2-3 months and stuff like that. So that's, I guess, my biggest concern. But having said that, Gordo, it is January. Do you think, based on what's happening right now and the injuries kind of like really starting to pile up, do you think we make a move or we don't make a move just because of injuries and we let it play out?
We called back 3 players already from loans. I don't
start that rumorville, because most of those guys are probably going to be loaned right back out, right?
Nat Phillips.
He puts his head everywhere. I don't know. I can't remember a January where like that was the news. I know that players come back from loans because Liverpool's really good at setting them up with really strict targets to hit, and you've got like certain metrics to meet before December or whatever. And if the player's not playing, then we have the right to recall loans. So I know that happens all the time, but I just feel like there's too much media around it. I saw too many articles about it and it just makes me think that they're coming in, not so much to cover first team roles, but to come in and cover the U18s, the U19s, U21s or whatever, where those players will start getting minutes. We'll start rotating the players that have been in the system, and the players coming back from loans will get minutes with the youth squads.
Yeah, that's the thing. When you see Reece Williams and stuff like that, all these guys that are coming back are not even playing in the teams. That's why I feel like they're coming back. They're not getting minutes where they're at. They're not going to be like, you're not good enough for Aberdeen? Well, come on over here, kid. We got a starting job for you kind of thing. So right. I don't see that happening. Yeah. Do you see there is not a lot of optimism over here. Alan says, I mean, honestly, I know, but I think Sepp is still hurt, isn't he? Didn't he have like a really serious one injury? I don't know if he's back from that. But Sparky, Serzi, not a lot of optimism there in terms of anybody coming in. John, do you have any optimism in anyone? Do we need anyone coming in?
I think we do. Like, the uncertainty of Trent's injury obviously kind of puts a lot of things in question. And obviously we do need that left-sided center half who could also cover a fullback position. It's probably our ideal signing. But in terms of realistically, if we are signing someone, we won't know until he's there. Like, it's kind of like the whole Gakpo deal. No one expected that we'd get Gakpo. No one expected that we'd get Diaz until it was like 99% done. So right now, I don't think we're going to get anyone. And if ever we are going to get someone, it's going to be a total curveball of a signing where we're like, oh, crap.
Like Endo or something.
Yeah. And then, oh, we're going to get him. Okay, then that's how it's going to be. But now, no, I don't think we're going to get anyone.
Yeah, I'm not that optimistic either. I just feel like it's not how Klopp rolls, right? Yeah. Like in terms of like signing somebody for injuries. Because first of all, the dude who comes in is not going to play for a while. Well, by then, everybody else is going to be back on paper. Yeah. But center back is the only position where we're not saying a bunch of people coming over. So as he says, Andre definitely not coming there. Like that's been really quiet for a while now. So I can see that suddenly happening. Yeah. Because it's been really quiet. I think
he hasn't been linked to anybody else either, right? So like, and all that's kind of hushed out. Because usually
the Fulham thing was hot, right?
Yeah, that's true.
But then that didn't materialize either.
We didn't hear anything anymore after like December, right? Regarding his links to Fulham.
I almost feel like that whole Fulham thing was like part of the agents doing in terms of look, all the everybody wants him.
Like they're doing with Mbappe right now.
Yes, can we put this to bed for fuck's sakes? The Mbappe to Liverpool thing, I don't understand the fascination. Am I the only guy that would not want him? And I would find it extremely hard to root for him.
Yes.
John, you're a young dude. You're probably all Mbappe all day, or no?
No. I think he has too big an ego. Like, if we're talking about the players that have played under Klopp in his best years, these guys are some of the best at what they do, but you won't notice it on how they act. They're pretty humble. They're pretty quiet. They just go about their business, especially with the likes of Salah. Van Dijk, people say he's arrogant, but I think there's like a fine line between calmness and confidence and arrogance. So I don't think he's that kind of guy. So, yeah, Mbappe, I feel, especially, like, we're not even going on the wage sort of thing. We're just going on attitude right now.
Yes.
He definitely want to be, on the team sheet every day. Maybe if we're talking about Salah being a ball hog, well, right. If we bring in Mbappe, then I don't know, man. Like, I'm not for it. Like, I know, like, people my age kind of have this whole shiny new toy syndrome, and I'm guilty of that with my boy Gravenberg, right? But like, Mbappe, nah, it's a no-go for me.
How about you? Steve says no, Mbappe is not Liverpool mentality. And Mackley was saying that I think we only make a transfer if the right players are available and affordable. And I think that's kind of like why it's taken longer too. That's kind of what happened with Gakpo. Like I think United was going for him at the time. And then the price came out and they were like, they kind of like dicked around and we were like, that's a good price. Yeah, we'll take him for that. And then we just like swooped in and got him. And then they spent a gazillion dollars on Anthony instead. Gordo, Mbappe, how about the apples?
Yeah, I think I would like him. I definitely would. But
you would like him? Really? Okay.
In terms of play, yes, I would. I think he is absolutely electric. I think he'd be a great almost like for like replacement for Salah in terms of, he's got the name on the back of his shirt that'll drag defenders out, which if that's all he does, that creates so much space for everybody else. And God knows that Diaz needs so much space. He might need to be the only player on the field to score a goal.
Unless he's looking the other way. Right. Nunez would still find a way to miss. Nunez would still find a way to miss.
Yeah, definitely. So, just on that alone, I think he'd bring a spark. He's still very young. I think that I don't get the attitude thing. I think John's right in the sense of like he gets the attitude because he is like really good. Like he gets that calmness on the ball and the cockiness, and that's what all great players have to have. If you're not cocky, you don't make it at this level. And if you're that good and that good consistently, and let's be honest, he's won every French title you could ever hope to win. So he's probably a little bored right now. You know, he wants that Champions League. It's never going to get there for PSG because all they have is names and not an actual team. And I think that's
But
where
isn't
that
Mbappe one of those names?
yeah, but you can't like you can't put or force players together that just won't play with each other, even if they are the best. Like Mbappe cannot win the Champions League by himself. He needs the team behind him. Like every good player, I don't think anybody's good enough to win, you know, a tournament by themselves. And I think that's maybe where some of the arrogance comes from. Is I think he's just tired of PSG. I really do. I think he's done with it. What else is there to win? They're not going to win the Champions League. In terms of, do I want him? Like logistically, no, because I think it would damage a lot. It would upset the balance. One thing that Liverpool does really well, even for Salah, is our wages are so close together that there's really no disruption. You know, there's nobody that's making $1 million while someone can't afford, you know, a 5-gallon, you know, milk or whatever the hell, $5 gallon of milk. So I think that would upset the balance, and then it would upset our wages, and then we wouldn't be able to sign anybody for a long time. So I don't want him for that reason.
I would love to see how he's going to react, by the way, when Klopp yells at him to freaking press.
Well, the problem is he's not going to press. I mean, I think Steve was talking about, you know, like zero track back ability. Yeah, put him on the right wing with Trent, and then like just pave a highway on that side over there for people to like.
Yeah, if y'all are religious, start praying.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like Cersei says, I'm okay with arrogance and confidence, maybe overconfidence, but his is like more douchiness. Is like how it comes across to me, at least. And I don't know. I mean, like Gordo was saying, maybe different environments he acts differently. But when he's 25, and when you've been like kind of like a self-absorbed jerk for 25 years, I don't know if that changes. Do you think when you go into a new environment, I mean, I always go back to like in the NFL, for example, you know, now not anymore, but that's how like a Patriots team was, right? They would take a guy who was rejected and considered a jerk everywhere else, and he would go in there and somehow that locker room would slap him into shape and he would follow along, or he would kind of weed himself out and then, you know, almost like the players would kick him out. You think he would come to Liverpool and change, or it's going to be the same guy? Let's forget the wages. We worked out the money. Football Flashback wins a bet. He pays the wages. But do we, like, forgetting all money, the balance of wages and stuff aside, personality-wise, John, do you think he comes in and that personality changes?
There's a chance. There's always a chance, right? If we're talking technical, there's always a chance. But I'm going to put a counter analogy to your Patriots analogy. The Warriors recently, for those who watch basketball, had Jordan Poole, who was a horrible defensive player. When we won the championship a few years ago, there was a kind of a habits drilled into him to be a bit more competent at that end of the floor. Once we won the championship, he kind of drifted off. Like, no matter how good the culture is, and the Warriors have won 4 championships in this era, so they kind of have established that sort of culture there. So, and obviously, after we won the championship, Poole kind of regressed, both offensively and defensively. He started not passing the ball, you know, disrupting the flow of the plays, and not caring on the defensive end. Like, if you guys don't think Trent cares, wait till you watch Jordan Poole in a basketball game last year for the Warriors. He does not care at all. So I feel like that reality is as present for Mbappe in terms of him not adapting to the culture and kind of disrupting it, as it's as present as the reality of him kind of adapting and working it and it working out for him. So for me, I'd rather not take the chance, you know, if that makes sense. I'd rather get someone who Klopp can kind of mold in. Like, obviously, he's such a talent that maybe we could overlook it, but there's always the risk that's run of him just coming in there acting as if he's the biggest thing in the world and then just ruining everything that we've established. So I'd rather not take the
Yeah,
risk.
I feel like he would affect like that system in terms of like, that Klopp is big on in terms of like team play and, like teamwork and stuff like that. And the whole system is based on that. You can't press if one guy is not pressing. That whole counter press thing does not work. I mean, even last game, Klopp was talking about when the press is not on, everybody else falls apart because of how the system is set up. So everybody has to do their gig. Steve says he actually reminds him of Balotelli, amazing talent, but terrible attitude. I almost feel like he has a different kind of arrogance.
Okay, that's like comparing somebody to Hitler. Like when I see people like, you're a Hitler. It's like, no. Now you're watering Hitler down. Like Balotelli was fucking a nutcase. I mean, he was lighting off fireworks with strippers inside his house. Like this is. I don't think Mbappe's that guy.
Yeah, like Balotelli was just crazy. Apart from but mentality, maybe in terms of like mentality not fitting in. And not focused on being on the game, on the team. I can see that. But he was nuts in a different kind of way. See, Sergi says he hasn't played with under a coach like Klopp, Pep Angelotti. I feel like the way that team is set up and, how much importance he's been given. They gave him like a suburb in Paris or whatever the hell they gave him when they signed him to an extension, right? I feel like whoever you bring in as a manager, it's almost like managing the owner's son. I don't care who the manager is. You're managing the owner's son, so he's gonna do his own thing. Doesn't matter what you're doing, because ultimately the owner's son is never gonna get fired. You're gonna be the one going. So I don't know if any name really helps. Like if it was Pep or Klopp, do you think that changes like his personality, Gordo? Like does he become more humble? I just feel like he's 25 now. Like if it was 18. You can have somebody slap him around like Dave Leslie was saying, like have Robo give him a slight tackle in practice and sort him into shape. But I feel like when you're 25, you do not. There's a certain age. I know like people change. Some shit doesn't change after like a certain time.
I think like Sparky even says if he came, he'd sign into the system. And I totally agree with that. I really do. I don't think that Klopp, they'd sit down. I mean, how often do we see that a player comes in, they give their first press conference and they're like, oh yeah, I had a phone call with Klopp right away. And then I sat down with him and we talked for like an hour in his room before I signed anything. And that's literally Klopp is going through and making sure this is the right guy. Like I don't think. And that could go against me right now in the fact that maybe Klopp has already looked at him and said, no, I don't want that here, but if he did want it here, and if we sign Mbappe, I think that, I think we'd get him and I think he would sign into the team because the locker room, I think, would affect him. He's young enough. And some of these guys have won a Premier or they've won the Champions League and he hasn't. So I guess they've got that over him. I don't know. I think that he's a big enough talent, and if we could sort out the wages, and if that wasn't the issue, I think he would sign into it. And I think he'd become a lot more humble. I mean, Klopp is basically, what is like an LSD trip, right? You just kind of mellow out, like, you just come back. You get that hug from him. It's like it's a drug, right? You're just like, yes, I will do whatever you want. Like I'm subservient now. I think he'd be fine.
What do you think, John? I think Klopp goes to hug him and he just like sticks his hand out and like shake my hand or kiss my hand.
Yeah, maybe. Like I said, there's always the possibility it works out, and there's always the possibility it doesn't work out. And I don't know. Like everyone says,
everyone is doing his ultimate Mitsubishi impression, dancing around the question.
Right, an educated man.
It's like I said, I'd rather not take the risk. There's a lot of names out there that can be shaped by Klopp. Like you said, there's a certain point where a person doesn't change his or her ways, and maybe Mbappe can do it, but with Liverpool, given the pressure that we have to deliver each year, I don't know. Like it's a risk. Some people might want to take it, some people might not. I'm kind of leaning towards the camp where I'd rather just.
I honestly don't think there's a chance it could happen.
It's not happening.
The wages, but I think. Yes, Sparky's calling John over here. That's every player over network. But yeah, I think I don't know. I don't see Klopp saying. I see Klopp looking at the player and saying, "Yeah, that'd be fucking." Imagine the things we could do with this.
Yeah.
But I don't think Klopp is looking at the personality and saying, "Oh, he'll fit in like a shoe." And it's a very going back to what John is saying, and I agree to that. It's a very expensive gamble to do. It's not like, you're signing a guy for like 25 million. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. I mean, this is like you're basically putting your club's next 5 years or so probably will take you to get out of that hole that you dug yourself kind of thing. Here's a good shout from Mike over here. What do you think about Sané from Bayern? Because I think that's a really good shout. His contract is expiring. Are we buying it? Because really, he has Premier League experience.
Yes.
He horrified me as a City player on the wing.
Yeah.
So we're buying him. What is this? How much you paying for him, John? Write a check.
Right now, probably 40, 45.
Damn, really?
Yeah, he is 27, 45 to 50 probably.
Man, you got lots of monies.
Well, I think given a player, like you said, that Premier League experience, right? And the fact that he's thrived in like a championship winning culture in Pep City. He knows the league. He's worked with arguably the best manager in the world. It's a no-brainer for me. Like I say 40 to 50, but I'd push that over to 60, I'd say. Like
didn't he have an attitude problem? Isn't that why Pep got rid of him? Because he had an attitude problem?
Well,
yes. Well, I mean, that's I'm not familiar with Cancelo. It just got phased out.
I know there was that thing with him and Mane, but that was like a both of them thing, right? It was like a disagreement between both of them, right? Not like him directly with.
But that was at Bayern before he went to Bayern. I think that's why he got booted out of City.
Yeah, I think it was like playing time. It was similar to like Cole Palmer, where like Cole Palmer didn't see himself getting the minutes he thought he deserved, and he left because I don't think he was kicked out. I think he left because he was upset with the lack of minutes. But I'm with Timuchin. I hated playing them when he was starting because he was so quick. He had the ability to beat you one-on-one. He had the ability to find a pass. He dragged defenders out. He basically, his shoes at the end of the day were always white, just covered with the line because he tied himself to the line and he dragged our defenders out.
I guess the question is Sané still that player? Because he does have a history of being injury prone. Like if he still has that in him, I definitely pay the money. And like what Serzi's saying here, I don't know the context of that story, to be fair. Like what was said, was it ever revealed? Right? Like what Sané said, what
there
Mane
were like
said.
Rumors of it, but I don't think it ever came out as exactly what it is. And I think, the thing to me is, as much as I would like him, I wouldn't pay that much because I don't see it as big of a need. If that's fair. If it was like that quality of a center back or somebody like that, I think, or like a defensive midfielder like Kimmich or somebody, I would be more. I know he's higher in age and stuff like that, but because of the needs, I would go. I guess Sané's. Look at Serzi with all the rumors, man. Can't have mothers get involved. And Sparky says it's Darwin working out. I think this is going back to the Mbappe conversation, but this is exactly
Sparky saved that for Friday.
Even when Darwin is not working out as well as we would hope, you see Darwin give efforts to buy him time and patience. Except Gordo.
No, if there's any Darwin Núñez apologists left, please just. You got to wear shirts or something like the Scarlet Letter or something.
He's a run of games.
He's got to run it. He's had 2 years of games. I'm so tired of it.
I got one for you, Gordo. He needs a run of games as a left winger.
Oh, there you go. You go. I look. Yes, believe me. You show up on a Friday and then you'll see how much we argue about Darwin. Because I'm with you, Gordo. But having said that, there's a big difference between a player not working out and sulking and causing problems, and a player not working out but still busting his ass. And that's like, I would not see that happening from Mbappe if it doesn't work out. You still get the effort from that. I say Mbappe not getting the pass and throwing his hands and turning around and walking, kind of what he does in PSG. Yes. And I just don't, Darwin to left back, says Sparky. Darwin is, right. You know what? Yeah. But then the problem is, if you're a linesman and you see Darwin running, I think out of reflex, you were like, he has to be off.
Yeah,
right?
he's offside.
Let's be honest. His offsides are always called by the linesman. Like, he's so far offsides, we don't need VAR to call him off. Like, It's infuriating. He's facing the fucking. I gotta join the Friday show.
Are you joining the
yeah,
pre-match later,
Friday
Gordo?
show.
Like, I'd love to see your reaction if he's starting.
Yeah, I'll put you with Anan, and me and John will walk out, and then we'll come back like in a couple of hours and pick you guys up. But hey, we thought it would be a shorter show because obviously we have like the pre-match coming up, so you're gonna see a lot of the same heads shortly for the pre-match. So once the lineup comes out, we'll be on. John over here. It's going to be a truly reckless pre-match. John is hosting the pre-match. He's going to get everything set up for the pre-match once the lineup comes out. And then obviously we're going to be here after the game as well. As always, thanks to all those joining us on Instagram now as well and on YouTube. If you are not following us on YouTube, head on over there. Give us a follow. Oh, they were too shy. We walking in the last second. So football flashback sends you.
Oh, you got some referrals.
You don't get a discount. It's not like tell them I sent you. It's already free, so you don't get a discount.
Maybe football flashback is looking to us to cover one of his bets or something. Hey, I got you guys another subscriber. Like, how about my next bet, boys? Like, sort me out here.
But yeah, give us a follow, a share, all that good stuff. There should be buttons that you can press underneath over here to like and subscribe and all that kind of stuff. So come on over, give us a follow, and then go drag somebody by the ears and make them like football flashback just did with the Liverpool Shabby. Grab somebody by the ears and bring them over as well. And then we will see you guys in the pre-match shortly in a few hours over here, and then in post-match, hopefully, when we're talking about a huge win. Have a great day until then, and we'll be back. Take care, everybody.